The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Suspect still on the run after attack on family. Doctors were able to reattach the arm of new grandmother Indra Jagrup after a relative severed it on Sunday during an assault that left her husband Antero McQueen and sister-in-law Monica Jagrup dead. However, investigators learned that even after Jagrup's arm heals, doctors are not sure she will ever regain full use. Both Jagrup and her father, Manikchand Jagrup, remain in a severe but stable condition at the San Fernando General Hospital after suffering severe chop wounds. Up to yesterday, police had not found the 33-year-old assailant. There were rumors that he hid in the bushes near their farmer Trey's home and returned to his house to sleep on Wednesday. However, a relative said that it was unlikely as police were in the area around the clock. The relative said that with many rumors circulating, they have to ignore them. According to a report, Jagrup and McQueen were at home around 10:30 p.m. when the suspects summoned them. As McQueen, 52, came out, the suspect immediately attacked him, chopping him on his neck. When Indra Jagrup rushed to her husband's aid, the suspect attacked her too. On hearing her screams, her father, Manikchand, rushed to her aid and was also wounded. The suspect then went to Monica's home a few houses away, and as she walked outside, she was attacked by the suspect. Investigators suspect an ongoing land dispute was a motive for the attack, but relatives believe it was a backlash from a recent religious ritual. A relative who lives nearby linked the suspect's deadly rage to a goat sack done in September as part of a religious ceremony. Since then, he said many problems and bickering in the family began. Autopsies done yesterday showed McQueen and Monica's deaths were consistent with the incident. Relatives will make funeral arrangements on Friday. Kezia Janica Guerra's body found in shallow grave. Police officers investigating the murder of 28-year-old Santa Cruz resident Kezia Janica Guerra are considering the possibility that the man suspected of committing the crime took his own life hours after she went missing last Saturday. Police sources said that homicide detectives are working with the theory which arose following extensive investigations which culminated in Guerra's decomposing body being found buried in a shallow grave in Maracas, St. Joseph on November 4th, 2021.
Just 3 weeks shy of her 29th birthday, Janica Guerra's body was found in a grave in Santa Barbara Road, Maracas Valley, St. Joseph. Captain of the Hunters Search and Rescue Team who discovered the body, Valance Rambarat, said 10 members of his team assisted police in the early morning search on Thursday.
A couple of hours into the search, a discovery was made on the riverbank about 50 feet from the Santa Barbara Road, not far from the police station. Actually, it's about a 5-minute drive, and a body was found in a fairly deepish grave.
Janica's boyfriend, Dylan Huggins, who was also at the scene when her body was found, said he last saw her alive around 11 a.m. on Saturday. Janica told him she had plans to meet the main suspect's daughter at Curab Junction to go to the mall.
Well, I told her that I was going to the forest for this weekend for the 2 days, which is Saturday and Sunday. She said, okay, no problem. She said, well, you know the summer birthday month. I hope you ain't come back with your hand swinging. I said, no, you don't worry about that. I had that covered. And she said, okay, no problem. After that, I didn't hear anything.
On Sunday night, when Janica did not respond to his text message, he told a few of her relatives she was missing and made a report to the police. On Wednesday, Janica's bloodied purse was found along the riverbank in Santa Barbara Road. Reports indicate one of the suspects in her disappearance led police to the grave in St. Joseph. The main suspect, however, is said to have committed suicide over the weekend. Dillon was in a relationship with Janika for approximately 6 months. He described her as a loving person.
Never on bad terms, no matter if she's sad. Every time you watch her, you always see a smile on her face. I can't say nothing bad about the individual.
Dillon thanked members of the search and rescue team for their assistance in locating Janika's body. Kimberly D'Souza, TDT News.
Former COP Gary Griffith drops lawsuit against POS. Former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has withdrawn his lawsuit against the Police Service Commission over its decision to temporarily suspend its acting appointment pending the completion of a probe into the issuing of firearm users' licenses by the TTPS. Griffith's legal team officially withdrew the lawsuit during a virtual hearing before Justice Nadia Kangaloo yesterday afternoon. Griffith, who repeatedly denied any wrongdoing concerning the probe or being the subject of it, filed the lawsuit after the commission, led by former chairman Bliss Supersad, suspended him shortly after giving him the acting appointment in mid-August. Shortly after the lawsuit was filed, Griffith and the commission came to a settlement which saw the suspension being lifted and Griffith agreeing to remain on leave until October 31 or until former appellate judge Stanley John completed his investigation. However, Griffith did not immediately withdraw the lawsuit as the commission had reportedly not complied with an essential element of the settlement at the time. Following the settlement, Kangaloo delivered her judgment in an interpretation lawsuit over Griffith's acting appointment brought by social activist Ravi Balgoban Maharaj. In her judgment, Kangaloo agreed with Maharaj's attorneys that under the Constitution, the approval of the House of Representatives is required for substantive and acting appointments to the posts of Police Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCP. The outcome of the case did not only validate Griffith's appointment as acting commissioner, but also that of DCP MacDonald Jacob, who was given the acting post while Griffith was on suspension. Jacob remains at the helm of the police service, however, as his appointment as DCP remains valid. The handling of the appointments and Griffith's suspension led to the resignation of all the members of the commission, including Seepersad. The other former members of the commission were Roger Kowalsing, Courtney McNeish, and Dr. Suzanne Craig James. Late last month, the opposition, led by Kamla Prasad Bisasar, piloted a failed motion to remove President Paula May Weeks over her alleged role in the collapse of the previous commission and the withdrawal of a merit list for the acting police commissioner's post. Following an alleged meeting between Seepersad and an unnamed government official in August, President Weeks and Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley have issued public statements on the issue and denied any wrongdoing in the matter. A new commission was appointed on Tuesday. Opposition votes against new Police Service Commission and raises concern. A new Police Service Commission, PSC, is good to go despite opposition veto. While Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said yesterday the 5 people nominated to reconstitute the commission are eminently qualified, opposition leader Kamla Prasad Bisasar raised concerns about some nominees, with the opposition voting against all of them. The differing views on the nominees came during yesterday's Parliament debate on the motion to approve the 5 members for the PSC. But despite the opposition's claims about some nominees and their votes against all 5, the motion was passed and the new PSC was approved by 21 government votes to the opposition's 19. Leader of Government Business Camille Robinson Regis is in Scotland for the United Nations Climate Change Conference, which ends tomorrow. The previous commission collapsed on September 25 after commissioners resigned following a disagreement with then-chairman Bliss C. Prasad on administrative leave for then-acting police commissioner Gary Griffith. Yesterday, Deputy Speaker of the House Edmund Ford presented the notification sent by President Paula May Weeks for the new nominees: retired Justice of Appeal Judith Jones, finance management expert Maxine Atong, sociology expert Ian Kevin Ramdhani, finance management consultant Maxine King, and attorney Rajiv Prasad. Rowley, in piloting the motion, said they carry with them the requisite qualifications and experience, and most importantly, that willingness to provide public service to the people, and particularly to the police services that requires it at this time more than ever. These 5 distinguished citizens, having offered themselves to serve on the Police Service Commission, I have every confidence they will bring the quality of their qualifications and experience to bear on any and all issues concerning the Police Service Commission. He said he was pleased to say a finer crop of qualified people could hardly have been advanced, bringing these skills and experience to offer in the public service at a time when most people, especially people comfortably placed like these people are, such people are reluctant to offer themselves or accept offerings to positions of service in the public domain, largely because they are fearful or want nothing to do with being pilloried simply because they give public service within the confines of their skills and experience. Rowley said many wouldn't accept invitations to public service due to the tedious arrangements required by the Integrity Commission, or that by and large, public service is a thankless job. So I'm grateful these 5 people have agreed to take the responsibility for providing T&T at the Police Service Commission level with the management and skills required to ensure there's a functioning Police Service Commission to do what a Police Service Commission is required to do. Rowley, detailing the nominees' qualifications, listed their backgrounds. He said Jones was eminently qualified to begin what's required for any PSC, and we thank her for her willingness to serve. He said Atong's work experience is quite extensive, and also her public service work. A person from the private sector who is willing to contribute some portion of her very valuable time and experience to serve on the PSC, I thank her for her willingness to serve. Rowley added, Ramdhani is also eminently qualified in the field of sociology. Once again, a citizen willing to serve on the behalf of us in this House, at least those on my side, thank him for his willingness. On King, he said, we couldn't ask for a better person. Citing Prasad's legal background and service in several Caribbean islands, including as a judge, Rowley said T&T was lucky to get a person as well qualified to even agree to serve on PSC. In response, opposition leader Kamala Prasad Bisasar raised questions about Ramdhani. She said the opposition had nothing against the nominees who were distinguished sons and daughters of the soil, but it couldn't be about qualification only, since they must be fit for the purpose. She said scrutiny of nominees was vitally important, since the public must have trust in the PSC's independence and appointees must be fiercely independent, free from bias, partisanship, or political sympathies. Prasad Bisasar said, people must have trust in a PSC to have confidence in their determinations, and members couldn't be seen to be depending on ruling party, business stipends, or payments. A level of trust and confidence in PSC directly correlates with TTPS, law, order, and stability. This parliament mustn't be a mere rubber stamp for government. She said the last PSC collapsed when every manjack resigned. The catalyst for this began a year ago when the Prime Minister wrote the Police Service Commission indicating his displeasure with Griffith, she said. She said the new PSC will have to consider the last commission's merit list for the Commissioner of Police and whether the 188 appointments which occurred since 2009 will be legal following the recent judgment against acting appointments. Meanwhile, outside the parliament, a group staged the United National Congress Revolution protest, but it was quickly dispersed by the police. Police investigate 2 homicides. An Arima man was arrested on Tuesday afternoon while walking home after purchasing 2 bottles of oil and water at a nearby shop. Adrian Wilson, 29, of Guava Avenue Bypass Road, Arima, was arrested around 3:15 p.m. Police said Wilson left the shop at Church Street where he had just bought the items and began his walk home. Minutes after, a car stopped and 3 masked men alighted and opened fire on him. As he fell to the ground, the assailants escaped in the waiting vehicle. Passers-by alerted police and covered Wilson's body with a white sheet until investigators arrived. Forensic officers recovered 23 spent 9mm shells and 4 7.62mm spent shells at the scene, along with 2 bottles of oil, 1 bottled water, and a cigarette lighter. Wilson's body was ordered removed to the Forensic Science Center in St. James by the district medical officer. In a separate incident on Tuesday night, St. James resident David Figueroa was reportedly erased over an argument relating to his playing of loud music. The 32-year-old of State Street was shot around 11:30 p.m. Reports said Figueroa had been warned several times by another resident about his habit of playing loud music, which was said to be a bother for those living nearby. Figueroa died at the scene. Investigations are continuing into both homicides. Teacher tested positive for COVID-19 at Chaguanas North Secondary School. A teacher has tested positive for COVID-19 at the Chaguanas North Secondary School, bringing to 8 the number of schools which have recorded positive cases since the resumption of classes on October 4. A school source said that the COVID-19 positive teacher has been in contact with over 30 pupils. Before her COVID result was recorded, she supervised a home economics lab at the school the week before Diwali, the source said. The students in that class were not wearing masks because the lab involved cooking and tasting, so there were concerns of possible infections in that class, the source added. However, even though the teacher reported her result to school officials, the school source said there have been no advisories issued to the students and their parents as to the confirmation of a COVID case at the school. This means that students have continued to come to school. They are not aware that their teacher has tested positive, the source added. Even worse, thorough sanitization of the Chaguanas North Secondary School has not been done, the source claimed. Noting that the school should have been shut down and fumigated, the source accuses school officials of not being transparent and open about the situation. Tuta has been informed and teachers have been staying away from the school since her results showed up positive, but the students are continuing to show up, the source explained. He said most times the students are liming in class rather than doing constructive schoolwork as they are mostly unsupervised. Contacted for comment, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Antonia De Freitas, confirmed there were 8 schools with COVID-19 infections. There are some cases at some of the schools. Yes, there are cases at Chaguanas North Secondary, De Freitas said. On Wednesday, health officials reported there have been 55 confirmed COVID-19 cases at secondary schools since face-to-face classes resumed. These have forced the schools to close temporarily as sanitization takes place. Asked yesterday what recommendations Tuta could make in light of the growing infections at schools, De Freitas said, Tuta advised the ministry previously to only bring out students who had practicals to do. The Ministry of Education made a decision to have all students out and therefore teachers out, and so the Ministry of Education should be the one offering suggestions as to how to deal with this. Asked whether it was a bad decision, De Freitas said, "I cannot say that, I cannot pronounce on that." She added she could not identify the 8 schools recording cases. The ministry will have to name those schools. The tutor president said the union has advised teachers to maintain all protocols and to do what was best for health and safety in the face of growing infections. De Freitas could not say how many teachers have been absent over the past 5 weeks. "We have to discuss with our members the current scenario at schools before making any pronouncements," she added. PAHO reports TNT ranked among Caribbean countries with higher mortality rate. With over 100 COVID-19 deaths in just the first 10 days of November, Trinidad and Tobago is among 4 countries with higher mortality rates in the Caribbean. While most Caribbean countries have COVID-19 mortality rates below 2%, the Pan American Health Organization PAHO said TNT, Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas and Grenada are under 3%. At PAHO Weekly COVID-19 Media Conference yesterday, Director of Health Emergencies Dr. Ciro Ugart reported that many other countries had higher mortality rates. When we look at the number of cases in most countries in the region, some countries in the Caribbean have shown an increase, although the numbers are still low. The proportion of the temporality of these increases are worrisome for some countries. Most of the countries in the Caribbean show a case mortality rate below 2%. Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Grenada, and Trinidad and Tobago have more than 2%, but below 3%, Ugart said. He said that measures taken to protect the population, including the availability of health facilities, hospitals, and intensive care units, and controlling rapid spread are working quite well. But with economies reopening, this increases a possibility of transmission among populations and international travelers. Therefore, Ugart said countries must keep track of the availability of ICU beds because many Caribbean countries have limited capacity. Although we have been working very closely with many of those countries to increase the capacity of ICU beds, there are still some limits, not only on equipment and ICU beds themselves, but also for health personnel to support and supply to treat the patient. After 2 consecutive months of decreasing trends in the Americas, COVID-19 infections are increasing in some countries in the Americas. Over last week, the region recorded 700,000 new cases and 13,000 related deaths. In the Caribbean, TNT, Barbados, and the Dominican Republic experienced a rise in infections, while Cuba, Jamaica, and Puerto Rico saw decreases. The Cayman Islands and Dominica are also reporting high case counts. There were increases in Colombia and Bolivia as PAHO noted the relaxation of public health measures. Vaccination among people in Latin America and the Caribbean climbed to 48% over the last week. But PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne said that while COVID-19 vaccinations pick up in the region, less than 1 in 5 people in Jamaica, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines and Guatemala got the vaccines. In Nicaragua, coverage remains at single digit. Less than 1% of Haiti's eligible population is fully vaccinated. PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne admitted that the situation in the region was still concerning as infections rose in some countries and the pace of vaccination was not adequate. Etienne said PAHO also observed rising vaccination hesitancy in the Caribbean. While many people may be tired of the pandemic, it is not over yet, and this is not the time to relax public health and social distancing measures. And this is what we are seeing, Etienne said.